Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of yesterday's and this month's new issue of The Walking Dead comics. That'd be issue 160. We're at part 4 out of 6 of the Whisperer War, and I am loving this I've said before that it's probably the volume I've been most hyped for, reading month to month, and it's probably one of the better ones in my opinion through the series. I mean, it still probably isn't my favorite. There are a lot that I really like, but this is certainly up there. So, pretty much, I feel a bit blue-ballsed by this episode, this issue, because it was really good, but it ends on that kind of cliffhanger where it just feels like I am just left hanging for a month. I just feel so blue-balled by it, you know? Just, we didn't get the conclusion of anything. It's just, it just built more for us to wait for. It was so good, but it's just that frustrated feeling of, man, I just want more and I want it now. Which I think is a good thing in a lot of ways. But it was great as always. I love the cover design. This isn't my favorite one we've had for the Whisperer War. It may be my least favorite we've had so far for the Whisperer War. But that said, it's still very, very good. And of course you can see I got my notes here, whatever. But yeah, it was very, very good. This one is the one with Carl and Lydia. And it's around on par with the Alpha and Rick one that we had. That's pretty interesting because it's both the parents and then both the kids. But either way, I don't think it's as good as the Negan and Michonne one, which I really, really liked. Or the Beta and Dwight one, which is like one of my absolute favorites for The Walking Dead as a whole. I love that Beta and Dwight cover. But I love the cover scheme for the Whisperer War in general, where it's like the different tones with the character outlines. I really like that. So yeah, getting into the actual contents here, Vincent is trying to run back to Alexandria and Heath finds him. Good to see Heath again. We haven't seen Heath in a while. We haven't seen him do anything important in a while at least. So the Whisperers in the herd, the art for them was great. They get outsmarted and killed by Michonne and her people. I especially love, I love just getting more into seeing that they're not normal people, but in a way they're still people. Like, you have the guy that's like, calls the other dude an asshole or whatever. Or how, after Michonne kills the guy, she's seen by another guy and he's like, you know, he called you by name, Michonne. We don't have and then she stabs him. I love that, how the dude's putting it together. And it shows us a little bit more about how they're so big that they might not even recognize each other in their masks and everything. And they most likely know most of each other by name, but they may be so big that they don't even all know each other by name. So it's pretty interesting. And one big thread throughout this issue for me that I found myself that I kept repeating while I was reading back through it a couple times is the Whisperers are so freaking organized. They're organized like crazy. Yeah, and like one of the big things showing that they're organized after Michonne's group slaughters that one herd of Whisperers and Walkers is Beta wakes up. He finds out Wave 2 has been sent in. They have a Wave 2. And of course we kind of knew that they were the ones coming out of the woods, but just that they separated themselves like that to move in waves of walkers, like they would carry in a wave of walkers and then the Whisperers would run back and grab some more walkers and carry in another wave. It's such an interesting strategy. We also find out that 5 hours have passed, more or less. Around 5 hours. I'm assuming they, it's like they're telling the truth, but how do they really know 5 hours have passed? Do they have a watch? I mean, but yeah, so 5 hours they can probably tell pretty well. And one thing that's really notable that Beta says, he's like, things are going well. If after all the people we've killed and stuff, things are going well for the Whisperers, we are in trouble. And there's an attack on the Hilltop that he says is imminent to go and retrieve Lydia. And Beta's like, okay, I'm going back to the front lines. That's enough of a break. He is such a good villain. I love Beta as a villain. Just because he's the type of leader like that. He's like on the front lines. He is the one putting in work against the good guys right now. So I just love that. So Vincent then tells Heath about the Saviors. We get a quick Rick and Eugene conversation that really didn't lead much of anywhere. They just talked about how well stocked they are. Tara sees the horse prints left behind by what she doesn't know is Heath, but a horse picking up Vincent. And then then I think that I'm not convinced that the Sanctuary is evil yet. I feel like if they were legitimately against Rick and them, that Tara would have just turned back and said, oh, well, we're not catching up to him. It'd be dangerous of me to go after him. But no, the fact that she went that far to try to return his horse is at least what she said she was going to do. The fact that she went that far means I think that she was being legitimate about giving his horse back. Then we have William he's out keeping watch as well. We meet Knight Taylor, and I love William so much. He's a great new king after Ezekiel has passed from our story. I really, really like William a lot. He has grown on me very quickly, and I kind of want to see him interact with our main characters more, because we haven't seen him interact with them at all. So Andrea's alone in the watchtower. Aaron is preparing in case of emergencies, and Dante tells Maggie to meet him alone. So then Dwight's group finishes off the herd of Whisperers and Walkers that they were in, and what happens with them is probably my second favorite part of this chapter. And what I mean by that is, like, I really loved Dwight's philosophy here, because I hadn't thought of it whatsoever. Where Laura's like, it'd be a lot easier for us. Why don't we just wear masks like them all the time? Like, we could just go out and deal with walker herds whenever we wanted. We could move in and out of wherever and not have to worry about them. But Dwight's like, no, that'd be disrespectful to the dead. What these people do is sick. And while, yeah, it seemed sick to us, it does seem logically like, okay, that's actually a pretty good idea. But then being reminded that the walkers used to be people, that they in a way still are people, is like, it's just crazy. That's something that we heard back at Herschel's Farm, kind of, but a more extreme version. But we haven't heard anybody say, the walkers used to be people, or that they are people in a way. We haven't heard that in so freaking long. It's crazy to finally see somebody saying that again. Like, that was something I didn't expect here. That was great. I loved it. So then moving on, we have Dwight executing this captured Whisperer dude that he's like begging. He's like, no, I didn't mean to kill anybody, spare me, and Dwight just shoots him in the face. So good. Then we have Dante meeting with Maggie finally, and he's like, I don't know what could happen with the Whisperers, so he confesses his love, and Maggie is honest. She's like, I like you, but I don't only have room in my heart to love Glenn. And I love this because it's real. It's like, if she got together with Dante, okay, that's kind of a romance storyline in a story, but it's so real that it's only been, maybe 4 years at the most since Glenn died. So it makes sense that she's like, I'm still not over that. I'm raising our kid alone. Glenn was my husband. This was his family. I get that she's still not over that. Like, really good realism. And it's really good timing release-wise, because we did just see that TV show premiere, and the death of Glenn is fresh on, even though it's way different in the TV show, of course. I mean, the way it was done was the same, but the characters are way different. Even though it's different in the TV show, it has that fresh on people's minds, so to call back to it now is really good timing for me. Carl heads outside, sees some flaming arrows, and this is my favorite part of the issue, where the arrows come flying over the wall and Carl ducks and the arrows are just landing all around him. That is the coolest part of this issue for me. So of course the Whisperers are incredibly organized, guys. They had a herd attacking the walls while they were behind them in their Whisperer outfits, shooting flaming arrows over the wall without the Whisperers turning around to come at them. But man, that's so cool to me. Like, the way they're organized is just crazy. They feel way more organized than I thought they'd be, and I'm liking it. It makes them seem like way more dangerous bad guys. So Carl calls out that they're in trouble now, and Lydia, Maggie, Earl, and Dante all come running. Then Tara, in another scene, says that she came to return the horse to Heath and Vincent, and Heath is having none of that shit, young lady. And I feel like Heath should have just taken the horse and tried to keep up peace with them, But yeah, that's not how it worked out. So Tara leaves with the horse. Then the gate at the hilltop comes down. Maggie and Dante are leading the people in a really cool way for me. The way Dante's like, okay, line up, we fight them this way. Maggie's directing people where to go. I love that. Then Carl and Maggie actually rush into the hilltop house because it starts to burn, and and they're going after Sophia and Herschel, who are still inside. And I love how Lydia was like, no, I have to stay out here, this is where I'm needed, and she blows straight through the face of the Whisperers who came to get her. So good. I really, really love that. And seeing Lydia is on the hilltop side, which of course I thought it would be really stupid for the plot if she went back to the Whisperers now that Lydia's dead, because Lydia was the only thing really keeping her there in the first place. She hated the Whisperers, they friggin' raped her. So yeah, she hated the Whisperers. I see no point, like, why would her mom die and drive her to go back there? Nah, she actually found people that appreciate her at the hilltop, so yeah, it wouldn't make any sense to me for her to go back to them. So I'm glad we get confirmation of that. So overall, great issue. I loved the art. The art is really good this month as usual. The war overall is great. I love the way it's going, and the character coverage is nice as usual. The 16-panel grid, I think we should just keep it for forever for this series, because the 16-panel grid is so good. I love it. It feels like we get so much every single month, and before, while it felt like some months we got a lot, some months I was like, we didn't really get that much. Every single Whisperer War issue has been on fire. Click, click. So Aaron, I think, will save Herschel. That's just my personal guess. Herschel is, like Herschel and Sophia, I think Aaron was prepared in the house. I think Aaron will probably be able to save them. Maybe we get faked out. Almost like the show did with Judith, where Rick and Carl couldn't get to her in time. Maybe Carl and Maggie will show up and they weren't able to get there in time, and they'll think that they're dead, but then Aaron will come back with them later. Something like that I feel like is possible. Then we've got, like I said earlier, I think that the Sanctuary is still good. I mean, they're not good, but I don't think there are enemies. I don't think they're going to attack Alexandria. I think the writing is just making it seem that way to throw us off a bit more of the Whispers, to throw us off of a possible new threat coming in. I think that it's sort of like almost a false conflict sort of thing, where it's showing some conflict that isn't really going to lead to anything. It's not going to lead to any actual real fighting immediately without other things happening before then. So yeah, I think that they're not really our enemies, but we might make them that way if we start treating them like shit. And then overall, 9 flaming arrows out of 10, because this was friggin' amazing. Not quite perfect. Like I said, I feel blue balls by it and all, but it's a bad feeling, but it's a good feeling, because I know that I'm just ready to see what all happens next issue and what happens in the final issue. Like, we still have 2 more to go, and every one has been just so good. So, yeah, I have nothing really bad to say in particular. 9 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there and tell me what you thought of this issue, and what you thought of my thoughts on the issue as well. Subscribe for more of The Walking Dead, both TV show and the comics. I do live reaction and review to the comics every single month, and I also do every single week for the show a review and a prediction video for the next episode. So yeah, 2 videos a week for that. Then a ton of other stuff on the channel. Check it out and sub if you want. Follow on Twitter if you want as well, and I'll try to keep you updated there on stuff for the channel. And that is it. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.